My dad told me that marrying an artist would absolutely ruin my life. I grew up in a Greek household. My dad is a old school, old-fashioned, macho Greek man. And that means you're groomed at a very young age from the time that you can walk or talk into who you are going to marry. And that usually needs to be a Greek doctor, lawyer, or engineer. My whole life, from the time I could remember, my dad would, tell me, Elli, your future husband, he must have some money so that he will buy you chocolates like I buy you, or buy me jewelry like he bought me, or I can live in a house with chandeliers and I can have a pony in my backyard. So my dad always compared my future husband to himself and all the things that he gave me, which were usually materialistic. I remember I was in grade school. I probably was in the second grade, and I got this patent leather red purse for Christmas, and it had a little notepad in it, and I brought it to school, and I sat on the school bus and I started interviewing all the little boys and taking notes. My dad gave me the questions. Their parents had to still be married and not divorced. The dad couldn't be a loser, and he had to have a good job. And then he gave me a whole list of what good jobs were. So I sat on the bus and I interviewed all these little boys, and I would say, are your parents still married? Okay, check. What does your dad do for a living? He's a dentist. Okay, he's a dentist. Check, check. And I would come home and report to my dad, and my dad would be like, okay, well, we will see. This is Greek culture, and marrying a man who will take care of you financially is the number one goal of a Greek father. As far as me and what he expected for me, I would cook, I would clean, I would have babies, and marry an engineer. That would be his ideal life for me. The fact that I started to be interested in art and I started creating and I wanted to go to art school, he was supportive of me painting and creating because that's something I could do as a hobby while I raised children. Well, he finally agreed to me going to art school for at least 2 years because I had a scholarship, and he liked to brag to all his friends that his daughter had a scholarship to college. But he had aspirations beyond those 2 years for me to transfer to a university where I would meet my future husband, who would be a doctor, lawyer, engineer. Well, the problem with that whole thing is I met John. When I was 13 years old, my best friend at the time was buying a piece of art from him. Now, John was quite a bit older than me. He was 18. I think he was even graduated from high school at this point. And I went with my friend. We went to go and deliver the piece of artwork where he was hanging out at the Arco gas station at the Kahala Mall in Honolulu, Hawaii, because that's where I was raised. And he was kind of sitting in this cloud of clove cigarettes, bunch of moody attitudes and combat boots and fishnet stockings, facial piercings and mohawks. Everybody was either a skate punk, a skinhead. It was quite the scene. So I saw John and I just was Twitter-pated. He had these long sideburns that went to a point. He had this kind of curly hair, and he was a bit of a punk. He had, combat boots and the leather jacket, and he was everything my dad warned me about. He was the forbidden fruit. Anyway, I started to have a little bit of a crush on him at that age, at 13, but it wasn't until I was 17 that we actually started dating. We fell in love very quickly. I was 17, he was 22. He went to my winter ball with me. He went to the prom with me as I finished out my last year of high school, and we started to secretly plan our life together. And he was going to move with me to Georgia, where I was going to go to art school at Savannah College of Art and Design. So he applied, and he was working to get financing and maybe a scholarship, and he was working in that direction. And our love continued and began to flourish. I just loved John because he was quirky, he was funny, he was this amazing artist. I really admired him. We had so much fun together, and he was just the love of my life. And I felt amazing around him, and he felt amazing around me, and that's who I wanted to marry. My dad just kept telling me, do not marry an artist, find somebody else, you need to dump that guy. And I kept fighting back and telling my dad, I don't need to be taken care of, I can take care of myself. It just was a huge issue between us. Even to the point when I actually got married, I wondered if my dad would even be able to celebrate with me, would even be able to walk me down the aisle. It was still a doubt in there, because even up to the day I got married, he was telling me I shouldn't marry an artist. And he paid for the wedding. He did walk me down the aisle. We did our father-daughter dance. He put a smile on his face. I think my mom was the one behind it all that told him, don't say anything. And we got married, and it was absolutely magical. We had at least 250 people that were there celebrating with us. It was the most beautiful setting. We danced, we ate, we celebrated the sunset, we took great pictures. It was one of the happiest days of my life, and John's as well. We got involved in our careers. We both were painting and working as artists. We were getting by. We certainly weren't wealthy, but we had each other, we had our love, we were making it. And we were making it in the field that we were passionate about. And it took years before my dad admitted that he was wrong. Finally, one day, he recognized that we were successful in our careers, and we defied all his warnings, and we were successful artists. We had children at this point. Our children were doing well. We had a roof over our head. We had a house. We were fully supporting ourselves with our art, and we were doing it together. We built our life together. And I think my dad started to understand that it's all about purpose and destiny, and having that common thing that you're passionate about, that you're both driving at the same thing. Our love was really bound in purpose, a common purpose that we felt really was forged in heaven. When I was weak and I had doubts, John would remember what our destiny was, and he would remind me and tell me. And when he had doubts and he was weak and he didn't feel like he had much purpose, then I would remind him and tell him, you know, what we're living for and what our goals were. And that's how we made it through difficult times, and when we had doubts and when things didn't go our way. And that's really still how it is today. There's still things that we haven't accomplished. We still have goals that are out in front of us that we're running towards, and we still have doubts. But we have each other, and we both are on the same page and locked into what those dreams are and what is most important to us. To say no to what society expects of you, to say no to what your parents are telling you to do as an adult, and to go for it, to really dig deep into what is most important to you, what your soul craves, what you really want in life, and to stay true to that. I think it will always pay off. So if you feel like you're living a life full of obligations and really living somebody else's life because it's what they are expecting of you, and maybe it's society or culture or your parents that are saying this is the life you need to have, but there's something else inside of you that you want. You have dreams, you have goals, you have big things that you want to achieve. You have a life that you're dreaming of that's different than what you have. I just want to encourage you to go for it, that those desires are true. Those desires are a piece of your destiny. And it's important to really listen to what your gut is saying. And you know, ironically today, even though it wasn't necessarily my goal or what I was living for, I do have a pony in the backyard, and I do live in a beautiful house, and there are chandeliers in my life. It's the serendipity that you get when you live that life of purpose, when you live really that true, authentic life that you desire for yourself, and you take those risks, and you do the hard thing, and you take the narrow path. If you want to hear more about John and I's adventure and, how we met and how he proposed to me, which is a hilarious story and it's not at all what you might think, then get my book, Unemployable. It's the story of our lives together, pursuing our destiny together, pursuing, what our heart has wanted most, and I'm sure it would inspire you. So I'm really thankful I didn't listen to my dad, and I'm really grateful for John and all the years that he's been by my side and all the years that he's encouraged me. And I absolutely look forward to fulfilling our dreams together.